and today we're going to be installing the Elegant Towel Bar Mount Kit from Simple Wood Products Company. These things are great for new installs. They're especially good if you had a towel bar that got pulled out and you got a little bit of damage to the sheetrock. These mounts will help you to cover that and give you a good secure mounting position for your towel bar. So we had a towel bar mounted here. It's a 24-inch center to center. Since we've already had an install here, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and run with the first mount, and then we'll base the other mount off of that. One thing to keep in mind is the wood grain. If you're going to paint them, then the wood grain's not quite so critical. If you're going with a stained product, make sure you pay attention to the wood grain. Make sure that, either you orient them horizontally or vertically and that the two match. So the first step we're going to do is get our first one mounted. So we're going to cover our original mount and make sure we're nice and level. Now a little tip that you may want to follow is do not, at this point, mark all 4 holes, drill all 4 holes, because very often something's going to wiggle a little bit and you're not going to have a perfect alignment. Get you an awl, or you can even use a screw, push it through the hole to make your first mark. So I have a little mark right here. Simple Wood Products supply some very high quality anchors. The way that these work is you're going to fold them in. You're going to push it into the wall. It's going to expand on its own, but once you start to screw it in, when the screw engages this bottom piece, it's going to pull it in, and these wings are going to expand. Now, something to keep in mind, if you have damaged sheetrock, and let's say the damage is up here, you're going to want to make sure and orient your anchor horizontally. You want these wings to be on some relatively solid sheetrock. If the damage is over here, then orient it vertically. That way you get a good bite on there. Here's another little trick. If you're drilling into sheetrock, you can reduce the mess. Get you a little piece of paper, hold it up against the wall. And there we go. No mess on the floor. So what we're going to do is we're going to drive our first anchor. We are going to temporarily mount the anchor with one screw. When you're mounting these, do not over tighten. You can crack your wood mount if you get too tight. So at this point, we're going to level it out again. We're going to mark our second hole. And we're going to remove the mount. After you mark your second hole, remove your mount. We're going to drill our second hole. Get our second anchor in place. We're going to repeat this process to make sure that our mount is perfectly mounted. It does take a few extra minutes to do it this way, but you know that the finished product will be perfect. At this point, I strongly recommend finish your screws by hand. If you're using power tools, it's hard to gauge just how much force you've actually put on it, and you don't want to crack your mount. So it's fine to run them in with a power tool, but finish by hand and you'll be good. So at this point, we have our first mount. I'm going to mark the center of our elegant mount. Since the mounts are 3.5 inches, 1 3/4 will be our center. We'll move it like this, 1 3/4. We're going to go ahead and we're going to mark the next one. Since we're working with a 24-inch towel bar, we're going to mark our 24 here. We know that our center line is going to be right there. So at this point, we have the spacing correct. And we are going to make a very small mark at the center so we know where we're at. We're going to use a 24-inch level at this point. We're going to line up our centers and make sure that we're nice and level. So that's where we need to be. Go ahead and mark one hole right there. What you want to do is you can see that the center is going to be right there and right there. What we're going to do is mount this centered. This one. Make sure that these are level. Small mark here. Small mark here. Small mark there. Here's a quick tip. When you're going to be drilling into the mounts, okay, chances are you're going to want to drill a pilot hole, just like we had pilot holes for our screws. This will prevent the wood from chipping. So the way to pick a drill bit for your pilot hole, get your screw, and you want a drill bit that is roughly the size of the shank of the screw. So if we don't count the threads, the pieces sticking out, but just the inner solid part, we want a drill bit that's just a little bit too big. We're not going to be getting good bite. We can see this. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a little smaller than the shank. That'll work though. I want to double check it. Okay, so at this point, before you put your towel bar, go ahead and get your plugs. And again, if you are going with a stained product, you're going to want to make sure that you get all your wood grains to line up as close as possible. And even if you're going to be painting them, probably a good idea to go ahead and line up your grain anyway. I don't even see any grain on that one. And that's how you mount an elegant towel bar mount kit. Thank you, and come again.